All right, crew, we're out here at South Mountain Preserve, the home of Rob Drew and some of the most technical trail on the planet. And we figured, since we're headed to the Sedona Mountain Bike Fest, this is a great opportunity to let Rob help you get a little bit more proficient with your climbing technique. So today, we're gonna start here at the Gatekeeper, and we're gonna work our way up and check out the goodness. You ready? All right, so we're here at the Gatekeeper of South Mountain. This is the first obstacle you encounter when you try to ride National Trail, and it's called the Gatekeeper for a reason. If you can't get past this, you're definitely gonna struggle on some of the things you'll encounter as you proceed up the hill. This section here has got actually 9 different ways that you can attack it, and we're gonna just show you a couple of them here today. All right, so what we're gonna work on today are the 3 main lines here at the Gatekeeper. These are the ones that are most frequently used by the people who ride here every day. So the first one is what we call the main line. This is where you'd see hikers go. This is the one that's the longest standing, but it has some difficulty to it. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna come up there and you're gonna shoot up these off-camber rocks. As you can see, there's a lot of pockets, a lot of obstacles, a lot of things you can pedal strike on. So this one of the 3 we're gonna show you is probably the most challenging. We'll see if I can get it. You always wanna get into a proper gear that allows you to clear the terrain and lay down the amount of, whoops, there you go, see? Rich is gonna take a shot. Oh boy, you got about another 6 inches past me. Nice, way to stick with it, dude. And like we always talk about in the ride series, nuance. I will try to add some nuance and achieve success. Whoa. Wasn't pretty, but we got her. Okay, so the second line we're gonna show you is my personal favorite. Now this one enters the same way, like you're going on the main line, but what you're gonna wanna do is stay far right, get your front wheel as close to this rock as you can before you make your left, because you're gonna have a lift. Now you're gonna cut across the main line, you're gonna lift up onto this rock. Once you navigate that, you wanna stay as close to this as you can, and then you're gonna turn up a couple of chunky lifts here. And what you'll see is, just when you think you've made it, you get hung up on these areas right here, because nothing adds difficulty to a technical section than having to make a turn. So this one, as we talked about, approaches the same way. You swing wide, small lift, and then through the chop, up and around. All right, so here Rich is gonna hit my favorite line. Again, you approach it like the same as the last line, swing wide, get that lift, and then make the right turn. That last bit of chunk is usually a challenge for people, so you don't want to give up too soon. You don't want to have that celebration party too early. It's not over till it's over. All right, so the most frequently traveled line for bike riders is going to be the straight up the middle line, and we're also going to demonstrate that one. So basically, as you coming through these stacked rocks, straight up over this angle rock, and you want to make sure and carry some momentum, because this rock has enough angle and is lacking enough in grip that if you have to pedal, you can wash down the side, and it's actually a long fall down. So you get up on top of this rock, pedal through a couple of wheel traps, and up through the same technical aspects that you would have to finish with the previous line that we discussed. All right, now we're gonna hit line number 3, which is the one that most riders utilize. So this one, you usually wanna come in with a little more speed, go right up the middle, through a few wheel traps, over the same chunky rocks as the last line, and you're home. All right, here comes Rich up the middle. As you can see, those little steps are timed awkwardly, so depending on the wheelbase of your bike, it can be more difficult for some than others. All right, so now we're at what I call challenge number 3 on National Trail. This one, most people will ride through this rocky terrain here and make a bit of an S. But although that way is less challenging, there's a rock outcropping up there that will almost always grab your pedal, so it's still challenging. But as you see on the left here, there's a nice say 2 foot very sheer lift. That's the way that I like to go. And if you've been through the Ride Series Clinic and you apply the TRS standard of lift, shift, and pull, it'll get you right over that. On National, it's got a nice sheer lift on the left side. Coming up to obstacle number 3 on National Trail, and it again gives you some choices. I like to stay left to this nice sheer lift and just cruise right up her. Yes, sir. Okay, so we've arrived at challenge number 4 here on National Trail. We call this 4-stair. It's got that name because it's got 4 distinct steps in it as you climb up this section. So the pedal lift TRS standard is mandatory here. You can't just manual these lifts because you'll lose your momentum and you won't be able to proceed to the next lift. So pedal lift is necessary, starting with step number 1 right here, and carrying your momentum all the way through. Remember, every pedal stroke counts on this obstacle. Yeah, see, when you lose that one pedal stroke, just that little spin, and that's it. Without every single pedal stroke, you just can't make this obstacle. Yeah, so on that attempt, you want to make sure that the last pedal stroke of each previous step is your most powerful one. What happens is when you know you've made one of these sections, you kind of give it a little break, you take a beat, and then you try to get back on the gas and you spin. If you miss one pedal stroke, you're not going to make it. So make sure the last pedal stroke of each obstacle is your best one, because that's when the back wheel's loaded, that's when you've got traction.
All right, we're here on South Mountain at the Bermuda Triangle, or what I call the Triangle. This is one of the coolest features right here, gnarly, massive lift. I bent a chainring in half right here the first time I tried this. It's huge. You have to really think about the technique. This is the TRS standard at its best. So you come in right here from this side. You gotta make sure you're following the technique, the lift, the shift, and the pull.
All right, so on this lift, the lift, shift, pull technique, each step of that will basically overlay so it becomes one seamless move. And that's because the lift is so high, you've got to definitely get everything smoothly put together so you can get up it without hanging. And although there are some lifts you might encounter where if you just get the front wheel on top, you can pull the bike up, this is not one of them.
Okay, a couple things to think about here with this. The rock is open underneath, so you have to be very careful about smashing your chainring in. There's nothing right here to catch you and lift your rear wheel up. So what that means is the lift and the shift, they're gonna kind of come together. So you're almost shifting as you're lifting, as the front tire is setting onto the rock. So you kind of have to make that shift a little bit earlier in space. This is where that nuance comes in and makes it that much more difficult. The problem most people have here is they resort to power. It's the technique, then feed the power in if you can.
All right, so Rich is gonna hit this lift on the Firebird, and keep in mind the wheelbase plays a role. Nice and smooth. So you could see when the back wheel makes contact, but because he's already shifted his weight and he's lifting, it doesn't hang the back wheel underneath that open cavity. And that's the key to the lift, shift, pull technique. You've got to get every one of those elements and you've got to mix them in quickly to have success on a lift of this magnitude. All right, so here at the Triangle, like with so many other obstacles on National, there are several line choices. What you would think would be the easiest would be the main hiking trail, but this turns out to be one of the most challenging sections. And one of the reasons why is because you can't just ride straight up the middle. What looks like it would be the obvious option turns out to be very challenging. When you come into this first tight left turn, you've got a chute here and everything funnels you to the middle. So your tires are going to get stuck in there, and trying to turn right out of this with some of these steps built in creates an enormous challenge. So I've developed a technique to get up this section, but it's not what would seem obvious. And that's the point, is sometimes to achieve success, you can't look at the easiest approach. You've got to find a way that gives up something at the beginning to achieve something at the end.
Okay, the first time he told me about this, I just couldn't rationalize it. He's gonna bounce his front tire off of this and then rotate on that horizontal axis and then make his way up. Watch this. This is rad. So much nuance with this move. So boom, off that, over to there. Are you kidding me? All right, this one is a little bit tricky. God!
Yeah, you need to come a little bit farther up on the second.
Hang on, was the bass taking away from the vocal? I think the bass was taking away from the vocal. Turn the bass down a little bit, Brock.
Are you recording on this rehearsal? There it is. That was it.
Okay.
That's where you want to be.
You gotta commit.
Yeah.
Like once you hit that, you gotta get rolled over, and I stayed left too much.
Well,
Man.
You want to make sure
It's difficult.
it's
Okay, bounce. Oh yeah.
there it is.
Woo!
And if it is right,
All right, there you go. Some pre-Sedona Mountain Bike Fest tactical trail time with the Rob Drew. So we talked about lift, shift, pull, really focusing on that TRS standard here at some of South Mountain's finest.
where those techniques were developed and honed to a razor sharp edge.
So fired up to get up to Sedona here in a couple days. Before that, we got some more filming to do here, but I think, Rob, there's some technical spots up there that we might be able to apply this technique, right?
Indeed. We'll be sharing. So join us on our group rides. I think it's safe to say you'll be at mine and I'll be at yours.
I guess.
Maybe not. We'll
Part
see.
of the deal. Yeah, his Saturday 10, mine Sunday at 11. See you there.
Be there.
Peace out, dumpers.